Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different today. I'm actually trying this whole thing in my regular review setup so that I'm not looking at a computer screen noticeably the entire time. You guys should know that I've been wanting to do another Q&A for a while now, but I went and looked through the questions that I had, and frankly I don't feel like I have enough for a full Q&A video right now. So the first purpose of this video is to ask you guys to ask me questions. Anything regarding Steven Universe, or any of the other stuff that I talk about in this channel, or any of the other stuff that I've mentioned on this channel, or just personal questions if you want, send them to me. Leave them in the comment section of this video, or in the Q&A section of my Discord, which will be linked to in the description of this video. I really like bouncing stuff back and forth with you guys and interacting with you guys on this level. It's something I don't want to stagnate. So there you go. I'm asking you guys for that, though this video is also going to be about something else, something on all of our minds, Steven Universe, the movie. Because I did notice that I was getting a lot of comments on my trailer reaction video and on the theory that I dropped the day before the trailer came out. Some of which were questions, some of which were comments that I felt were interesting enough that they deserved being addressed on video. So I'm going to be running through some of the top comments on those videos and addressing them, answering them, their questions, or just responding to them here if they're not. And if I do respond to one of your comments and you feel like the conversation could or should continue, please continue it in the comment section down below. I thought that this comment was particularly interesting, suggesting that the villain, I'm going to keep calling her Morganite right now, but she could really be anybody at this point. The idea that Morganite could take away empathy and or emotions in general is super intriguing, as it is appealing to emotion and or spurring gems to feel emotions that they've never expressed before. Has up to this point been Steven's main way of defeating big bads. All the way back to when he first got through to Centipedal, he got through to her by being kind to her and helping her to feel kindness towards him in return. A villain who takes emotions away from the people around her and perhaps doesn't have full access to those emotions herself would definitely nerf Steven. If she managed to steal Steven's emotions away, he wouldn't have that ability anymore, and it would be a neat juxtaposition to his psychic empathy power that he's displayed multiple times now. If she can take emotions away and he can feel emotions, that makes them parallel characters in that regard. Though based on the trailer, I just don't think this is going to be the case. It really does seem that her main weapon is that she's a toon, and as everyone knows, only a toon can defeat a toon in battle unless you restrain the toon first with a spell card. That reminds me, Yu-Gi-Oh! Reviews are returning next week. That should be fun for me and literally no one else. But still, I like this idea, and even if it doesn't come through in the movie, I hope that the crew has this in mind and they decide to try something similar in a later story. Because I would really like to see what Steven does when he's pushed to deal with a problem in a way completely different than how he usually deals with his problems. I like his whole appeal to emotion thing, don't get me wrong. I like redeeming villains when the story can give us a plausible reason for them to be redeemed and or redeemable. But if Steven keeps bringing people around to his side using basically the same method of doing so, it is going to get stale sooner rather than later. This one's also interesting, the suggestion that whoever the villain is, she was at one point Pink Diamond's attack dog, even drawing a comparison between her and Hela from Thor Ragnarok. This is another idea that I don't think is going to be in the movie, but on principle, I like it a lot, especially considering both Pink and Odin were former conquerors who decided to live peaceful lives instead. But even based on the lore of the show, I don't think this works, because Pink didn't really seem like she would have been the kind of gem to have and or need an attack dog style lieutenant like that in the first place. It didn't seem like her actions back on Homeworld before she had a first colony of her own really necessitated someone to fill that role. I've seen the suggestion a couple of times that this particular gem might be a puppet, maybe just a gem-powered robot being controlled by some greater villain. I think that could be super cool. And even though we don't need an explanation for how she has her stretchy toon powers, because we've seen similar powers on past gems before. There is something a little uncanny, a little off about her design and the way she moves. If she is some kind of puppet, that would explain that. This comment here suggests that she's a Pay Knight, which sounds freaking hardcore. Like, I don't really have anything else to add to that. That's just a really neat idea. Thank you for commenting it. Here's one suggesting that she could be an actual Garnet, which is something that I hadn't considered before. Yes, we have kind of seen a Hessonite in the games, and her design was similar to our Garnet, a fusion who calls herself Garnet. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a straight Garnet with the same reddish purple coloration as our Garnet would have a design similar to either Garnet or Hessonite if it were just a singular gem. And this villain's color scheme does kind of resemble Garnet back before she ever regenerated for the first time. So it is plausible that she could be a Garnet, which would be interesting. I'm not really sure thematically how that would fit with the story so far, because I do feel very, very strongly in my gut, and also a little bit in my brain, probably, but I'm really hungry, so my gut's talking to me really loud right now, that this character has some specific connection to Pink Diamond. And while a Garnet certainly could have a specific connection to Pink Diamond, I don't really see what the greater thematic reason for her being a Garnet would be in this case. We'll see, but I don't think this is going to be the case. Still super interesting, and you got me thinking about what an actual non-fusion Garnet would look like, and now I want to see that really bad. Emily Yans are here, as well as praising me, which is something that I always like seeing. Asks whether or not I think that Morganite will be redeemable, or if they'll leave her story open-ended for Season 6, or any combination of yes or no on those particular possibilities. And also expresses that it would at this point be preferable if Morganite wasn't redeemable, since every villain so far in the show has been on at least some level redeemable. Even Aquamarine turned out to have depth beyond just the surface level pat that we saw when we first met her. Simply put, because of the pattern that this show has been going by for so long, I think that she's gonna be. I think they probably will leave her story open-ended for Season 6, but I think in the end she will be redeemable. I think in the end every single villain in this show is going to be on some level redeemable. That's just how the crew wants to craft their story. And I will admit, it annoys me too. I didn't want White Diamond to be redeemable either. I got over it because I really like the way that they handled it. But I want, and I feel that this show needs, for there to be at least one villain who Steven can't reason with. Or if he can, he doesn't redeem them by doing so. He just convinces them to stay out of his frickin' business and mind their own. But yeah, so I do think she will be on some level, but like you, I wish that that weren't the case. Those so far only came about my theory video about the villain, so let's move on to that trailer reaction video, which I probably could have gone into more detail about my thoughts on the trailer there, but I was waiting to see if I wanted to do any individual theories on any of the stuff that I saw in there. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that stuff, that's not going to make it into its own theory videos here in these next few responses. First of all, I got a few of these people suggesting that maybe Morganite is attempting to create a new Pink Diamond, maybe one in her own image who she can shape into the gem that she wishes Pink Diamond had been. Like, I was getting comments like this even on my theory video about who the villain was, and the trailer even seemed to kind of support this idea, because we see in the trailer that the villain brings with her a giant injector drill. And if we're right about the way that the injectors work, about what that liquid specifically does, then the programming for a fledgling gem comes from some sort of pre-treatment of that liquid. Therefore, you can't use the same liquid to create more than one specific kind of gem. Therefore, if the villain in this movie is trying to convert the entire planet's resources into new gems all at once, then either she is settling for a whole bunch of one kind of gem, just in slightly varying shades of pink as they would have been made from different materials from around the planet all at once, or she's trying to create one very powerful pink gem, one which takes a lot of resources to make. It's possible that this giant injector drill is even some new technology that she cooked up on her own. Maybe the reason why the Diamonds never tried to replace Pink Diamond is because it was a long time-consuming and resource-consuming process to do so, but now this villain has a way to do it with just a single one-step process. And as revenge for the first Pink Diamond being tainted, she decided to use it on Earth. That all makes a lot of sense. The problem is, it was not even implied, it was pretty explicitly said that some component of a diamond comes from White Diamond herself, and that's the reason why they never made another Pink Diamond, because she had already given that to Pink Diamond and didn't have it to give anymore. So I'm not sure if you can create another diamond just from an injector and injector fluid. After all, if gems come from the colored fluid that's extracted from the diamonds, then the only diamond who would have been around to create pink would have been White Diamond, and therefore the fluid that created Pink Diamond would be white. Unless that's the color that White Diamond was talking about. Maybe she excreted a pink fluid and that's what was used to create Pink Diamond the first time. Maybe the villain of this movie got her hands on that same fluid somehow, or was able to reproduce it artificially. My point is, while I think this is a really interesting idea and could turn out to be true, it could very well turn out to be true, the lore seems to be leaning towards it not being the case. I.e., they would have to introduce additional lore to either hint at or blatantly explain how it's possible for that to be the case in order for it to be the case. Cody wonders how I can be so freaking calm about all this, because he's apparently freaking out. I'm freaking out too, Cody. I'm just better at hiding it when I'm in front of a camera than most people, I think, would be. Then there's my mild depression, which tempers a lot of my reactions. Here's a comment suggesting that the villain looks kind of like that old toy Betty Spaghetti, which is the first time I've thought about Betty Spaghetti in a long time. Those ads were everywhere for a while, weren't they? So that was cool, that was fun. A little bit of a nostalgia kick this morning. All in all, there's not a ton more to respond to on the trailer reaction video. A lot of you guys wanted me to watch through the whole trailer first and then react and comment on it afterwards, and not to pause as much. That's fine, I'll keep that in mind for later. I did see a couple people saying that she looks like a twisted Pink Diamond. I will say that I don't see that at all in her, really. Like, she's got a similar lankiness to her design, I guess, but literally everything about her screams a very, very different character with very, very different mentalities behind her design. Like, I'm not saying that if you see it you're wrong or anything, I'm just saying I didn't get that vibe from her at all. I do want to end off by highlighting a comment that I think is particularly poignant and really gets what this movie is trying to convey. This person here with this utterly terrifying avatar, whose name I believe is probably pronounced Forex, points out that it seems like Steven and the villain actually have mirrored motivations here. They both want things to go back to a status quo that they prefer, and while I definitely noticed that, it's not something that I would have put in words so simply, so kudos on saying that so well. I absolutely love this comment. Your avatar will haunt me in my nightmares. Overall, a very memorable contribution to my video. Thank you very much for it. That said, I don't have that much more to say. So again, if you have more questions pertaining to this or anything else that you think I would have a halfway decent answer for, leave that comment in the comment section down below or over my Discord. Link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, promising you that you will get the first of those 6 Core Avenger analysis videos that I promised a while ago. Next week. It's already scripted and most of it's recorded. It's about the Hulk. I'm really excited about it because I feel that he got the weakest character arc of anybody in those movies. Yes, even Natasha. But either way, I'll talk to you guys later.